My friends, welcome back to the Smokey Mirror Podcast, where we dive deep into the creative minds that are shaping our culture and inspiring us all. My name is Jordan Jones. I'm your host and fellow creator, and I'm on a mission to spread knowledge and inspiration to help people like you leave your mark on the world. From artists to musicians to entrepreneurs and more, join me as we explore the intentional act of creation and the forces that drive us to do God's work. Today, I'm doing a special episode where I'm not really going to be interviewing anybody. I'm going to be just reflecting on the podcast itself. And I'm actually joined with my friend Terry because he's in town for the holiday season last week. It's July 8th. We were hanging out for April 4th. He just helped me with the last podcast. So he's going to be here bearing witness to the Smokey Mirror and everything you're about to see here. So, I really do think it's important to reflect, because if you don't look at what you've done and where you've been, you won't be able to use that experience and information to inform where you're going in the future. So we're coming up on tomorrow. I'll be posting the 60th episode of the podcast with my girl Kira. She just dropped music. We were at her release party last night. Terry, it was lit, wasn't it?
It was excellent.
Yeah, it was excellent. So be sure to check out her new single. It's called Lately. Check it out. But 60 episodes really is it's a milestone, and it feels good to have made that progress. It feels good to be doing something where I can see the vision coming together, but I don't want to get lost in the sauce. I want to, get back to my roots, understand why I'm doing it. And then also for people who are new or people who haven't been privy to what I'm doing, I want to kind of give them an update on how I think about the podcast and what the purpose is moving forward. So with that being said, I want to start with one of the most frequently asked questions is, how did the idea for the Smokey Mirror Podcast come about, and why is it called Smokey Mirror Podcast? So I wanted to start by mentioning I got the idea of Smokey Mirror from the book, The Four Agreements. And this is a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend it. But I'm going to kind of summarize what happened in that prologue of the Smokey Mirror, and it'll explain it for you. So basically, he tells a story about a student who was studying to be a medicine man or like a shaman. And so he was sleeping in a cave, and he had like an out-of-body experience. And he realized, he was like, wow, I'm made of light, like the same thing that the stars are made of and everything else in the universe. And so his conclusion was that everything is God. Like, oh, human perception is just light perceiving light. And so he decided that matter is like smoke that covers up humanity's true nature, which is pure love and pure light. So after he realized this, he started to recognize himself in random people that he was meeting. So he would walk up to other people and he would see himself there. And he perceived that life as we know it was manifested as various mixtures of starlight and space in between that light. Stay with me. I know it's kind of crazy, but just stick with me. So after he got that realization, he wanted to tell people about it. Like, wow, like I see people in such a new way. Like I want people to experience it. But he knew he wouldn't be able to communicate it right. But so he really didn't. But people were noticing that this guy was acting different. They were like, yo, like you're radiating energy. You don't judge anybody. Other people were thinking he was the incarnation of God. So they asked him, they said, yo, like, are you the second coming of God? And he was like, I'm an incarnation of God, but so is everybody else. And people were like, what? Like they just couldn't grasp it. And so what this person concluded was that everyone is dreaming and they can't see their true nature because of the fog or the smoke between them, meaning the layer of interpretation, like the way that we interpret reality, is the smoke that distorts our vision from seeing ourselves as we really are. And so to not forget this insight, the guy called himself the Smokey Mirror. And so the name represents the idea that mirrors are people who dream up interpretations of reality that obfuscate or just block the true picture of their real nature. So their interpretation of reality are the dreams or the smoke that stop them from seeing themselves as the light that compromises everything. So essentially, that's just a philosophy or a way of thinking that everybody is divine. And I really do believe that if we started to look at each other almost as with the same reverence and respect and awe that we give the creator, God, the one that you think is whoever it is that the spiritual deity that you follow, if you treated everybody else like they were just aspects of that divine being, I feel like we'd be in a better place. And so I started the podcast really just wanting to dive into that idea and talk to people with that kind of open-mindedness and respect, I guess, really, because I saw a lot of like negativity and polarization in media and in just like social media, TV, movies, rhetoric. This was around the time of the pandemic. I started this in 2021. And so I was just seeing the writing on the wall that not only is there like racial things, but then it was also vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Of course, there's always a class struggle. So I was just like, man, I want to be able to create a space where people can openly and honestly communicate thoughts and ideas and share how they truly feel and how they truly see the world. So that's where I started with the podcast. And if you'll go back to like some of the original episodes, I literally just had my laptop, an old 2014 MacBook, and I had a Blue Yeti microphone, just one. And so like the first episode I had with a girl named Saneeth, really cool. I met her from, I don't even know where I met her at, but she was at University of Miami, and she would always post interesting like think pieces on her IG stories. So I just hit her up. I was like, yo, let's record a podcast together. She came over to my house. I literally was sitting in the Scud House one with the goddamn, we're in the living room with my my mic in between us and my webcam just like on me. And we were just chopping it up about all types of different things like pop culture and
I can
stuff
see it's
like
been
that.
away. It's been away.
Yeah, I mean, from that to now, it's come so crazy. You know what I mean? But it's just been, it's been really enjoyable. And I really want the future to be something I can be proud of. So
the whole interpretation of the Smokey Man.
What'd you think about that?
The product of society, it's beautiful.
Beautiful, right?
Brilliant. Like the end result of society would be brilliant if that's the way everybody was coming.
Yeah, it's like if we treated people like that, there wouldn't be war, there wouldn't be famine. You know what I'm saying? Like it would just be
Respect and reverence.
Yeah, we take care of each other. We have a beautiful just outlook on life. And I think we can strive to reach a society like that. Maybe we'll never attain it, but just the pursuit of that ideal will get us to places where we want to go and places we maybe didn't even think we could reach if we never tried. So I want to really push that idea, but I've also gotten different interpretations of Smokey Mirror from people who've actually been listening to it. And someone told me, they were like, you know, when I was thinking about Smokey Mirror, it was like, when I look in the mirror, there's a lot of smoke, as in like thoughts and doubts that I have, or I can't reach my full potential because of things in my own head that's kind of like clouding my vision. And so like the more confident I am from hearing about other people's experiences and how they were feeling the same way I was feeling, but they pushed through, helps me see my vision clear. And I was just like, wow, like that was not what I had going when I first came up with it. But
it helped you.
Yeah, but I'm glad it helped you. And so one of the coolest things was when I first started, I didn't have a real vision for what it would be. I just wanted to be like the next Joe Rogan, like the Black Joe Rogan, the next Charlemagne, the next Joe Budden. But as time progressed, I was like, all right, I need to make this a little bit more serious and also targeted, because if you're not making it for somebody, you're not making it for anybody. So I hired a coach and they told me to like niche it down, and I decided to come up with the idea of interviewing creatives. And the reason why I did creatives was because I wanted to keep it nice and broad and be able to talk to basically anybody. But I wanted to focus on like, what is it that drives people to do things? And especially creative people, what is making you want to create something for other people? Because I think that is something, a phenomenon that is rarely ever really like truly explored. It's like, what is animating me to want me to do this podcast? You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll see people doing incredible things and it's like, all right, what really is it that's motivating you? Why isn't everybody else doing this at such a high level? Like, why are you doing this the way you're doing it? Like, I met a guy who, he was 21 years old and he started his own school. Shout out to King Randall. And he's still running it. Like, he has a boarding school for boys in Albany, Georgia. I'm like, what the hell? Like, how did you do that? What possessed you to get started on that project? You know? And so that curiosity and that just reverence and respect for people's work is what made me want to explore creativity, because I think there's an opportunity for artists to share their story that isn't always given. There's a lot of artists that I meet and a lot of entrepreneurs that I meet that are really cool, doing amazing things, but they don't have a spotlight on them, you know? So I thought it would be dope if I could kind of help share that spotlight with them as I'm building my own kind of platform. So like my new goal with the Smokey Mirror podcast is to create a platform where artists can come on and share their experiences and their triumphs and what they have going on and what their hardships, and just be open and honest with their audience in mind. And then also for the audience to learn the tips, the tricks of the trade, how the secrets, you know, how people got started and what they're doing in the future, just so that both sides can benefit. So that's really my goal going forward. I want to be able to record in my own studio. So this will be one of the last few episodes I record in here. Shout out to this place, but y'all raise the prices too much. So peace. And I don't want to push myself to, you know, start my own shit. I'm also going to be branching out into more virtual interviews, which I was doing a little bit of at the beginning, but now I want to get back to it now that I have more production value. We're more professional over here. And I think I can do it in a way that's really entertaining. And then I want to start making my own content where I'm kind of talking like this. You know, I think what was holding me back from doing it before was I didn't believe I deserved to speak my opinion, because it's like, who are you? You're just some guy on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be just another guy on the internet giving their uneducated opinion. No, we don't need any more of that. There's plenty of those out there. They didn't need more. They don't
on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need more of that. I wanted to at least give myself some credibility and give myself some experience of, yeah, I've talked with more than 60 people and interviewed them in depth on the things they're doing and what makes them tick. So I at least have a little bit of credibility when it comes to something, you know. like I'm 60 episodes in. I can talk about podcasts, I can talk about creatives. So now I want to really, I think I'm a genuinely smart person. I'm really reflective, and I can think of things that I feel like not everybody will think of, and I want to be able to share that with the audience, the world, everybody. So that's something I'm going to be focusing on coming up as well. I had a few prepared questions that I did want to ask myself before. I do want to chat with you as well, Terry. So I appreciate you listening. But based off everything I've said, like, what's running through your mind? Do you have any feedback, thoughts? And I want you to be open and honest. This isn't a guided propaganda session. Like, if you have general pushback or questions, I want to hear it. But how are you feeling? What do you think about what I just shared?
No, I'm just happy to see everything in process and play. I know you've put a lot of work into this. You've had 60 episodes. By me knowing people, know how things go, you're probably over the 80-90% of people who say they're going to do something in a field and then they fall off. And it's just nice to look at Smokey Mirror in person, in the flesh, and it's just like, hey, this man's doing it. You know?
Yeah.
And now, just because I've had so many conversations with you since I was like, 6?
Yeah.
Realistically, I know the type of questionnaire, the type of mind that's about to come. And when he brings it himself, it's going to be something special for you guys to watch.
That's dope. Yeah. And me and Terry have known each other for a long time. So it's actually kind of a surreal moment to have you here, because it's like, I think the last time I saw you was, well, I guess I was back home in Chicago with, but there was this point in time when, like, in college where we hadn't seen each other for years. You know what I mean? Like, I guess since post college and post like pandemic, we've seen each other more, but we haven't really been like hanging out like that. We haven't hung out like this in a while.
Yeah.
He's been staying at my house for the past couple of days. We've been having a great ass time.
Vacation has been great.
Yeah. And it's like, now you're here with my podcast and shit. It's like, I never knew I would be doing this, you know, back when we were kids and shit at the bus stop. Like, who would have known that we'd be doing this shit right now in Miami? Like, that's really dope. And I think the idea that you can do anything that you want is something I want people to really understand, because I just made up my mind one day that I wanted to have the podcast, and then I just wouldn't stop doing it. I got close to stopping, or I didn't get close to stopping. I took breaks. I took long ass breaks, but I didn't quit. I didn't stop. And I think that's one of the number one rules for success is just don't quit. You can do it.
Yeah.
Just don't stop.
Yeah, no, that success story coming in like that is everybody who cut.
No, you're good. What you talking about cut? No, just keep talking, bro.
Anybody who when you start something, You have to finish it. If you give up in the middle, you've just given up on yourself. And it's good to see my boy has not given up on himself.
I'm not giving up. The shit is evolving. We're going crazy. I think I'm also kind of taking my role as an interviewer more serious, and I'm viewing myself as a journalist. And now I want to be a top-notch interviewer to the point where it's like I need to start acting like one. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm definitely going to be doing a little bit of a ID upgrade. I think one of the most important things for people is to identify. You have to identify yourself and know who you are, more than just your name and whatever your job is at the time. But what are you like? Who are you really? You know, like what were you born for? And isn't something that is assigned to you, I don't think. I think you have the agency to decide, or you can let somebody decide for you. So those of us who are daring enough to decide for ourselves, go big. You know what I'm saying? Like best case scenario. Now is the time to do it. We got people making millions of dollars streaming video games. You feel me? Like,
yeah.
People taking pictures of their feet making thousands of dollars. Like whatever it is, I say just go for it. And know that you're going to suffer doing anything. So you might as well just suffer doing what you want to do. I want to get into some of these questions, though, because they are interesting. So one of them is, what are some of the challenges you faced as a podcast host, and how have you overcome them? One of the biggest challenges was having the equipment to do a good quality podcast. I was lucky enough to find a studio that basically had everything I needed, and they started off affordable. And then they progressively got less and less affordable. And so now what I'm really struggling with is I want to have a nice production, a nice set for my guests. I don't want to charge my guests, really. Like, I guess ideally I wouldn't want to charge them. Maybe in the future I might, just because if the audience is getting to a certain size and people come on and they get a certain return, you might need to get charged. But I don't really want to charge people. But at the same time, this shit ain't free to be in the studio. So I've been fronting the cost because obviously I love Smokey Mirror and I'm down for the mission and the cause, and I believe it's worth it. But at the same time, as a businessman and an agent in capitalist America, you have to be smart. And so I'm excited for the creativity I'm going to have to exhibit while recording in, places where I haven't recorded before, using things and techniques that I haven't really used before while trying to deliver a quality production. It's going to stress me out, which I'm a little worried about, but I know that stressful situations bring out the best in me personally. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. And yeah, I'm not backing down from that. So I'm excited about that. Here's another really good one. How's your interviewing style and approach changed over time? I think the more interviews I do and the more high caliber guests I get on, the better questions I ask. And it's not even because preparation is one thing and that's going to be a given, but it's also in the moment, really being able to capture the curiosity that I have and present it in a way that can pull something out from the guest that they wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else. That's what I'm really trying to do. And something where if you're at home, you were probably thinking the same thing I was, and you're like, damn, why didn't he just ask that? And then right when you said that, I went ahead and asked it. Like, I want to be that kind of interviewer where people know, like, yeah, Jordan Jones is going to do a good fucking interview. Like, if I want my story told, if I want to have a guy who's going to come on here, ask the right questions, I want Jordan. He's going to push back in a way that's productive, and maybe even uncomfortable, but it won't be to disrespect or dunk on you or to just get a viral clip. If we get a viral clip, we get a viral clip, but I'm never going to sacrifice my guest's image and try to humiliate them to boost my own gains, if that makes sense. Like, that's not the point of this podcast. I really want to use this podcast to bring people together. Eventually, I want to host debates. I want to be able to have big in-person events where I'm bringing together scholars and entertainers and, you know what I'm saying, people who I want to bring on the people who have the attention of the masses versus the minds that are the best minds of the masses, like our scholars and our professors and scientists. And I want to be able to bring them together so that we can broadcast information and ideas that can change the world, not just the same old bullshit that sells. Because like you can sell crack to somebody, to crack addicts, and make a lot of money. But is that really what you should be doing? If I can sell all this, I can sell sex and all types of shit, but is that really what we should be selling? I think there's space for wholesome content that is also entertaining, and we can have it in a way that's not corny too.
Yeah.
Mainstream media and stuff can seem corny, and here I am, Chet You Betcha, and I'm a guy in a suit and tie. But there's always a level of professionalism that you should be able to have no matter what you're wearing, what background you come from, and that's what I'm trying to offer, a little bit of professionalism and with the fun, So let's see. How has the podcast influenced your own perspective and understanding of various topics?
I feel like that would be a lot more insight from the people you invite.
What do you mean?
You learn from the things that they say. They're apparent professionals in their field.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned, that's a great point. I've learned so much from these different people. It's almost hard to express it. And I've honestly thought about like having a blog posts for each episode of things that I learned, because I want people to be able to get those bite-sized chunks. I think one of the most common things that I've noticed from the people that I interview is almost all of them have like experienced doubt and insecurity and really didn't know like what, maybe I should stop. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was experiencing that uncomfortableness, but they all decided, fuck that, like I'm gonna go anyway. And it sounds cliche until you get to that point in your life and you see like that you feel that feeling of doubt, and you can feel like I'm procrastinating, I'm not doing this. That's where all those words and the cliches, like you hear them, but are you going to really embody it? And I think I had somebody on there who said, this was on the 1% Club episode that I did. And the gentleman on there, he shared, he's like, we've been keeping God first a little bit, and he's been showing us what we could do. But now, like, we want to really keep God first and be even more serious about what they're doing. And I'm going to approach that for a secular view because I want my atheist brothers and sisters to benefit from it too. But it's like keeping God first in a secular sense is like keeping the work and the people that you're doing it for at the center of your mind while you're working. And I know me personally, that is not always like you, the listener, isn't always the forefront of what I'm doing. There'll be times where I don't want to put in the work and edit it the way I want to, or, Photoshop isn't opening up, so I can't edit this picture the way I want to. So now I just scrap it and say, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like there are certain times and points in my process where I need to be sharper, and there's more opportunity for me to focus on the things that I know need to get done. And I've learned that from seeing the work ethic of people I bring on the show. I can tell that they're not playing no fucking games. And as hard as I work on Smokey Mirror, and as much as I love it, I still feel like I'm playing games with it. And I'm not hitting it as hard as I could. And so that's why I'm so grateful for everybody who has participated in this beautiful tapestry that is the Smokey Mirror, because it motivates me on a level that embarrassingly I don't always have for myself. And it's one of those things that I know I've had, but somewhere down the line it kind of like got watered down, and it's like I need to keep shoveling that shit in the fire. It's like I'll hit it hard for months, maybe even a year, and then I'll kind of like foot off the gas. And I want to just have my foot on all the way down, full throttle, going crazy, fully on. So that's one thing that I'm committed to, is pursuing excellence and always keeping God first and keeping my audience and the vision of the podcast at the forefront, and not letting myself get lazy. So definitely want to reflect on that. I talked about the vision, goals and aspirations. I want to talk about some tangible goals really quick, and then I'm gonna, yeah. So I want to get monetized on YouTube. So I need to get 1,000. Well, they lowered the threshold, but fuck that. I want 1,000 subscribers. I want 4,000 watch hours because I'm almost there. I'm at like 300 subscribers, and the watch hours, I think I'm around close to 2. So I'm like at the halfway mark almost. I can come up with a better strategy to grow on YouTube. I can make better content that will want people to want to watch on YouTube. And that's something I'm committed to doing now that I'm transitioning out of this studio and putting more energy into my own studio and my own content. Another thing I really want to be able to do is write again. I haven't been writing like I used to. I'm not in the habit. My writing skills have been withering. That shit is weak as hell. So I'm committed to. I'm a good writer. Like I'm a good writer. I always have been. I just have been neglecting it. God is shaking his head like, wow, gave this nigga a golden pen and he let it shit rust. So I'm committed to getting better at that. I haven't even been pushing it. SmokeyMirrorPodcast.com. I need to be pushing that shit because I'm about to have my blog on there. You can see all the podcast episodes. I'm going to be giving away a free, basically like podcast starting guide, like how to get started doing your own podcast. I'm about to make a little, a short brief, maybe a couple of pages of what to think about, equipment, getting started, all that. Give that away for people for free. And I'm going to be coming out with a lot more content on my website. So if I want to get tangible about that, I don't know when I'm going to give myself this deadline, but I want to be able to publish at least one blog a week. But I'm going to be writing every day. Whether or not I publish it is one thing, but I'm going to be writing every day, writing about the podcast, writing about pop culture, writing about politics, maybe if I feel so inclined. But the whole goal behind it will be just to spread knowledge. That's what Scud is all about. That's what I'm committed to. And I'm excited for the journey, and I love the challenge. That's what I love most about this is it's hard. No homo. Pause. Like if it was easy, you know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't give you the same satisfaction when you do it. Like when you accomplish it. Like saying I did 60 episodes feels good because that shit was hard. People canceling, I'm spending thousands of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Like driving hellas, getting people to help me behind and do it, editing it all. It feels good because it was hard. And I want it to get easier. I don't want it to stay hard, but
I'm respecting the difficulty.
And I respect now seeing the effort that I put in. I respect, big names like Joe Rogan and all these other guys because I see that it's the dedication. Yeah, I see what it takes. So all in all, I love the Smokey Mirror Podcast. I just love my audience. I love all my guests. And I'm really excited to be on this journey. So with that being said, we still got some time left. Got like 10 minutes. I'd love to just chop it up with you, Terry, and get into a little bit of Earth Saliva too. But, I guess one last thing, like what do you think about what I just shared? I know I was talking a lot, but is there anything that stood out or anything that you're thinking of right now?
What stood out, not what I wanted to say when you said it, but I let you finish saying the thing that you said. Blogs. Mm-hmm. As soon as a podcasting is off and you write about what you learned from the blog, I can see other people chiming into the blog and even adding their own 2 cents. Let's say they're in their field and maybe they want to express how they've done it in a similar way or even a step above, Yeah. So it could just be every blog post is like a content of information for whatever.
Like a forum almost where people can add. Yeah, they can like put their thoughts in there. Like, oh, you know what? I'm also in this field, and this is something that I do. I love when they said this. Yeah, I love that. That would be so dope. Almost like a discussion board. Mm-hmm. Like if you ever took a class in college where they make you fucking read an article and like discuss it and then like comment on other people's things. Like I could definitely see that. That's dope. Thanks, Terry. I appreciate you sharing that.
No, 100%.
One thing I'm definitely going to be doing is opening up the podcast to sponsors. So you've been somebody who's been asking me to sponsor. Tell me about your company that you want to to sponsor here on Smokey Mirror?
I would love to sponsor Earth Saliva. I feel like you have some fit subscribers that would want to get healthier. They like holistic healing. It's like it's been the way for basically all of time, holistic healing.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got whey proteins, vegan proteins. We've got creatines. We've got ashwagandha, HTTP. Anything you need, we've got them.
Wait, what's HTTP? That sounds like some internet shit, like HTTP / isn't that a
5-HTP.
Yeah.
5-HTP is one of our products that help with sleep, mood, anxiety. It's naturally produced in the body, but sometimes people need a little bit more. And it's a popular product for people who just need to feel good in life, but naturally.
Nice. I mean, I definitely need to feel good in life, but naturally, you know what I'm saying? We don't always have to get that synthetic shit.
Yeah. Might as well get what the body produces, just in a little bit more quantity, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, this is like I said, Smokey Mirror is a free or a hate-free zone, but I do have beef with pharmaceutical companies.
I have big beef with them too.
So, you know, if anybody works for a pharmaceutical company, I would love to chop it up, like in a nice, respectful manner. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, you know.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I would love to have a nice, long conversation, fair and just. You know, one thing that I think is absolutely outrageous was the Joe Rogan thing with Peter Hotez. Did you see that on Twitter?
Peter Hotez? I saw brief snippets, but tell
Perfect.
me about it.
All right. So Joe Rogan had RFK on his podcast, and RFK was talking about vaccines, specifically the COVID vaccine. And Peter Hotez, actually, don't quote me on that. I know he's talking about vaccines. I was assuming it was COVID, but I also didn't watch it. But what I did see was Peter Hotez tweeted basically saying like, oh, Spotify doesn't even bother like, you know, doing anything about Joe Rogan's misinformation. And so Joe Rogan was like, okay, how about, he was like, if you get on my podcast and debate RFK Jr., since you're saying what he's saying is disinformation, I'll donate $100,000 to the charity of your choice. Other people were chiming in. I think eventually the pot swelled to $2 million to dude's choice. He decided not to debate. He said, well, if I debate RFK Jr., I'm giving a platform to a conspiracy theorist. And so I shouldn't, doctors and professionals and experts shouldn't debate with people who aren't qualified. And he got like Vanity Fair, Washington Post, I think Rolling Stones, all these big name media companies to write articles similar to that effect.
That sounds like a smart cop-out.
Right? Like that.
Smart cop-out.
What kind of elitist ass shit is that? I'm actually so qualified and so much smarter than you that I actually can't debate you.
I take that back. It doesn't sound like a smart cop-out. It sounds like a cop-out. I'm going to give credit where it's due. He probably did a lot of the work that's needed to give the opinion that he has.
Yeah.
But if you are trying to debate a conspiracy theory and you want to kill it at its root, use yourself, your whatever it took for you to get there to fight Mr. RFK.
Yeah, like it shouldn't be first of all, giving him a platform. Like Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast on the planet, and this nigga is a presidential candidate. RFK, like
he has a platform.
He has a platform.
His name is RFK.
His name is RFK Jr. Like we know his dad, who got assassinated, and we know his uncle, who also got assassinated. Like this nigga is famous. What are you talking about? So yeah, it's just that kind of shit is what really inspires me to want to do my own podcast, because it shows me that we need more space for open and honest conversations, not less. Having less dialogue is probably the exact opposite of democracy and all the bullshit that these motherfuckers be lecturing us on. Mm-hmm. The amount of democracy lectures I've heard from our government, especially, and like these social media companies and like big name politicians, it's ridiculous to be spouting all that and then to also in the same breath say, yeah, but debating and transparency, we're not with that.
We're not with that. We don't really, yeah.
Like,
just trust us.
Trust us, yeah. This is the best part. They find cocaine in the White House, and they're basically saying, yeah, you know, it's a high traffic area. We may never know who it is. What? You'll never know who brought cocaine into the White House?
That's insane.
That's
literally insane.
How can we take you seriously as a competent administration?
You've got fingerprints, you've got video cameras, you've got hidden cameras. It's one of the most trafficked areas in. How do you know it's the most trafficked area in the White House?
Right, wait.
How'd y'all know this?
How'd y'all know that? You telling me you don't have no cameras? So basically, what you're saying is someone could have put a bomb there and we would have no idea.
No idea. No idea at all.
And I'm supposed to just believe that? Like,
that's crazy.
That's crazy as fuck.
That's really crazy.
But yeah, so yeah, that just blows my mind. The corruption that I see, the hypocrisy that I see, and the unfaithful view of that media companies and like elites have on humanity. Like they just don't believe in humans. Like they look at humans like
we're trash.
Like they're trash and like a scourge on the planet. When it's just that, I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. And I believe that if you treat people with respect and educate them, give them the most information possible. I take that back. Not the most information possible, the most pertinent information possible in a way that they can understand it and be able to make their own decisions. That's where we need to be striving for, not telling people what to do or forcing people to do things, and definitely not shaming people we disagree with, because I think that's just, it's what the people controlling us want. There's always a they and, conspiracy theory, this and that. Doesn't it feel like somebody who doesn't have our best interest is running shit?
Yeah.
It just feels like that. Maybe I don't know who it is, but I feel that. And I think we as people have the opportunity with AI and with the future of technology to create the world that we want to live in. And so I think with that being said, it's 5 o'clock, my boy. Let's get something to eat. I'm kind of hungry.
Ooh,
You have any closing remarks though for the people?
Oh my goodness. Buy Earth's Saliva. Be good for you.
Buy Earth's Saliva.
Taste Earth's wisdom.
Taste Earth's wisdom. Is that
that's the official slogan.
Nice. Yeah. Make sure you see, like when you give me the give me like a little script to read, because I'm like a voiceover actor as well. Earth's Saliva.
Taste Earth's wisdom.
Taste Earth's wisdom.
Yeah, don't say that in my ear like that, guy.
All right.